Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Coffee with Brodes on this Thursday morning. A little disappointing with what we saw out of the Philadelphia Phillies, and what you saw out of the Sixers was great play. What happened at the end with the bench. I know that pisses people off, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's tough. The leading of Bryce Harper. Yes, actually, right now my post game show is about 80% exported, so it will be up. I would hope as Coffee with Brodes is in progress here. Well, as it's in process, we should have the Phillies Mets 14 strikeout game and the post game show up then. So yeah, it's just disappointing. It's disappointing, but the way I describe it in the show, and I don't want to ruin it or spoil it because I want to make sure you go and listen to it and all. There were some great anytime hotline calls in the mix. You're in 162. You're going to see great play. You're going to see miserable play, and then you're gonna work yourself back into your average. So what this team is, if they're an 85, 86, 87 win team like we think they are, at some point it's going to work itself back into that average. That's the nature of baseball. If you're a 280 hitter and you hit 330 for a month, you're probably going to see a 220 month, and you're probably going to it's just going to work all together. Bryce Harper leading off. Someone mentioned to me Gene Segura leading off. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do. See, this is what I think, Fran. If I'm a manager, or I don't even know who hands over the lineup card anymore. It could be Dave Dombrowski. It could be the GM of teams. I don't know who even sets the damn lineup anymore. But here's my thing. Where would Andrew McCutchen play? And McCutchen's hitting 150 right now. I don't think McCutchen's a 150 hitter. There's no way he goes from 250 to 150, and that's who he is forever. Now, this can't happen too long, or you're going to be screwed and put yourself in a bad position. But whoever sets the lineup, your goal every day is to put your players in the best position possible to succeed. I don't know where Andrew McCutchen can go other than leadoff, where you're putting him in the best position to succeed, where I could see Segura playing in other spots. I could see Bryce Harper batting in other spots. I could see all these other players hitting in other spots. I don't know where Andrew McCutchen would go. But once again, law of averages. I don't think McCutchen is going to be this forever. Like, there's just no way. Would I be against Bryce Harper leading off? No, I wouldn't be. Yes, Luke, the Mets won. You're allowed to voice your excitement, but let's not go too overboard, or I'm going to have to put a little stoppage on that. Um, I like Gene at the leadoff. Yeah, I get it. I understand why you would like him at the leadoff right now, but I also wonder, is one of the reasons why he's being successful because he's not at the top of the lineup, right? Like, is one of the reasons why Gene Segura is thriving is because when you get to that part of the lineup and you are a starting pitcher, you kind of breathe a bit more compared to focusing on Gene Segura a little bit more and knowing that Bryce Harper's up, knowing that Rhys Hoskins up. I do think it changes the approach of the way that these pitchers pitch if you're in the leadoff spot, if you're in the two hole. And I wonder if they would even move Rhys Hoskins away from the two hole. Like back in the day, if it was 3, 4, 5, 7 years ago. But when you did have McCutchen, Segura as your 1-2. There was a bit of a punch there, but what would you do at Rhys at that point? Is anybody calling Francisco Lindor a bum? Is anybody actually calling Francisco Lindor a bum? Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, this is a bad take. This is a bad take. To imply that anybody, like, I had a caller on the Anytime hotline, and in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the uploading will start for YouTube for everyone looking for yesterday's show. Say that, how can you not get a hit off David Peterson? He's the worst pitcher in major leagues with a 13 ERA. My man had one start. So you're telling me that David Peterson's a 13 ERA pitcher because of one start? No. Francisco Lindor is not a 222 hitter because of 27 at bats. Right? It's not that hard. It's not that hard to see that. I'm starting to think, by the way, that like Mets win. Let's go. Screw you. With all fun and games, screw you. Not actually screw you. I think that they play this game. I do. I think they get this game in. If you look at the weather.com app and you go to New York City, By the way, we never did our cheers, and we'll do that in just a little bit after I go to this weather.com app. But if you go to hourly, last night it seemed like there was no shot in hell they play this game. Let's blow up the screen, shall we? At noon, 18% rain. All the way through 3 o'clock, it's 19%. Then it picks back up to 60, but it was around 90 all day yesterday. I think they're gonna play this. I think they're gonna play this game. I really do. What tells us more about the Phillies as a team? The sweep against the Braves or the Mets series? I think it's somewhere in between. Like that's where I think people have these like this the over analyzing. I'm someone who breaks down every game, right? So I talk about every game. I think that there's a medium here. There's a middle ground. They're not sweeping the Braves type good, and they're not getting swept by the Mets bad. They're somewhere in between. But this is baseball. But this is how baseball is played. This is why it's 162. So I think it's somewhere in between, right? How do I feel about Mickey Moniak? I mean, look, my thought on this situation is you got to give this situation a little bit of time to breathe. This isn't unique, or this isn't standard. This is very unique. This is different. There's something going on with Adam Hastley. So the whole Mickey Moniak thing, I think based off of circumstances, it's obviously something that you have to do. I think it's telling you more about how they feel with Odubel Herrera more than anything Mickey Moniak related. I just heard Joe Girardi say the other day that if there were guys that were ready, they would have been caught up. There's guys in the minors that are trying to get there, and they're not there yet for a reason. And then now all of a sudden you're pulling up Mickey Moniak. So I think it's more telling about Odubel Herrera more than anything else. And by the way, I have just dropped the Phillies post-game show into YouTube. So it looks like it's going to be uploading now. 10 minutes left until it is fully uploaded. Then it has to process, but I am letting you know that I recorded it this morning before Coffee with Brodes, and it is processed or uploading as we speak. By the way, cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Thursday. So it's a beautiful day to wake up and have your coffee. You got MLB The Show today coming out. I'll probably be live streaming later. Ooh, geez, talk about a kick in the face there. Amazing. Wawa hazelnut. Amazing. Um, Thank you for the stream. Well, thank you for coming into the stream, man. How many games do the Sixers have? What is it, like 17 or so? Let's see. Let's move my keyboard a little closer. NBA standings. So what are they playing? 72 games. I'm not great at math here, so I'm ballparking. They played, if this was 40, that would be 57. They played 55 games out of 72. So 55, 72, what is that, 17 games or so? 17 games left off the top of my head. I could be wrong. I'm spitballing, but around that. I try not to overanalyze in April since I can recall numerous teams who overcame slow starts in April making the playoffs. Yeah, and I think Bryce Harper puts it in perspective too, though, a little bit where you got to find that balance, right? Because he's like Bryce Harper's given us the spiel of you got to make sure, like, hey, these games in April matter just as much as they do later on in the season, and he's not wrong. I'm not acting as if he's wrong by saying that by any means. He's got a legitimate point, right? So he's definitely on to something when he states that. But at the same time, there has to be an understanding of yeah, you're probably struggling because it's so early on, because it takes a little bit of time to get yourself readjusted at the same time, you know? By the way, since I'm uploading this video as we speak and there's 9 minutes left for it to upload, there might be a little bit of some bouncing around with some um, strongness of the stream, but I'm working on some ideas. Sorry. Any hope for the Eagles? Not this season, but I don't think it's as much of a disaster as everybody else does. Any MLB The Show videos? Yes, there will be MLB The Show content. I don't know about in terms of like videos for YouTube. I'm working out some ideas. I'll just say that. I'm definitely working out some ideas. Yes, I pre-ordered MLB The Show. You guys are going to be what was the final score last night? Is it 5-1? I'm typing up my Ooh, hey, hold on here. We got a $5 donation coming in from Chris. Simmons played pretty good. Underrated stat was he went 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Clutch. Keep up the pace, Ben. Let's go. Chris, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here, and here's why. Did I think his game all around was bad? No, but I will pop this bad boy up on the screen here. And I'm sure you saw it going all around Twitter yesterday, but it is important to bring up. And I wonder if I have it still saved on my computer. And bang. All right. Now, this is a serious issue. And if you act like this is not a serious issue, well, then that is unfair. This is a serious problem. I can't believe the amount of support that Ben Simmons got yesterday in the post-game show. This is an individual that does not know how to play offense to the point where Joel Embiid is double teamed prior to the ball even getting into him, and they're still passing it into him. This is called fourth quarter Ben Simmons. This is called half court set Ben Simmons. This is called a problem. So, Chris, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yes, I'm disagreeing, but I'm not disagreeing. He had a more aggressive game. He actually did make some free throws at the end. This is a problem. This is a problem. To act as if this is not a problem is a problem. This is something that will be a downfall of this team. This is terrible. All right. So it has to be noticed. It has to be noticed. It has to be recognized. That is something that will kill this baseball team is the lack of spacing by Ben Simmons. I'm not worried about it. If I don't win the chip, Ben won't be a Sixer anymore. Yes and no. I think it depends how it plays out. I think it depends how it plays out. Thank you so much, Chris, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. I really do. Up to Doc and Sam to find a way to get Ben to take the advantage of the space. There's only so much you can do, though, man. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do. At some point, when you're going up against these and you weren't even going up against elite players yesterday. But the difference is when you go up against Durant, when you go up against these guys, and I apologize for looking to this screen here. I am up. I just want to make it clear I'm uploading the Phillies video from last night, so I'm kind of doing a little double dip here. I'm doing a little bit of both, a little coffee with Brodes, a little uploading, doing a little behind the scenes work. So I'm doing a little bit of two things at once here, but there's only so much that you can do when it comes to that. When you play, because oh, it's up to Doc. Well, guess what? They have a coach too who knows how to make adjustments, and they have um, unbelievable players as well that know how to make adjustments, and they have talent. They know what they're doing on the other side as well. When you get to that level of playoff basketball, when you get to an Eastern Conference final, everybody elevates. Everybody gets better. They have just as much counter ability as you think Doc and Sam do. Isn't Ben insulted when they back off of him like that? Instead of getting off offended and doing something about it, he plays right in their hands. Yeah, but there's a give and take because I always use Giannis as the example. Giannis is better now at three-point shooting. If on the other team, I want Giannis to shoot. I want you to do that. So there's a level of Ben, they want Ben to shoot. They want you to do that because they know you stink at it. So do you want to play into their hands? If you start shooting because you're insulted, they get what they want. They want you to get insulted. They want you to shoot it. So you kind of have to find that balance between it. They don't have Mike Scott. Jeez. Mike Scott, I don't know what the hell happened. We had the Mike Scott hive, and now it's full on disaster mode for him. I wonder how much the injuries are still a big factor. This is a good point from Soccer Coach, and it also brings up the conversation of George Hill. Why you have George Hill here is because of that right there. You are going to be able to have a little bit more freedom with that half court set when you have George Hill running your offense. George Hill is going to be running your offense in the fourth quarter. That's the thing. You are going to have George Hill running your offense, being that guy who's going to kind of run everything, calm things down, get your sets going. That's what it's going to be because of how bad Ben is in the half court set. It's just reality. It's just reality. All right, let's see here. What else we got? I'm just looking at Phillies. Lose 5-1. That's tough to type in. That's not what you want to type in every day. Unreal. We got $10 coming in from from Pags. The Brodes Tattoo Fund. Nice hoodie. I hate watching Mike Scott play. He's awful. Yeah, he's not going to get any run in the actual playoffs and all. So I'm with you. I get the frustration as well, but I just feel like it is what it is. He's not going to be doing anything, and it's just it is what it is. Mike Scott, it's over. His run here in Philadelphia is over. I can't imagine him getting any sort of run at all. Defenders won't be able to lead. Oh, thank you so much, by the way, for the $10 and the appreciation to the hoodie. The hoodies are all available on teespring.com/Brodes clothes. There's also the logo that's in the shirt, like the standard Sports Talk with Brodes logo with the city line and all. A typical in Vinny V fashion where you have the Vinny V. Did I say Vinny V? I say that when I mean Vineyard Vines, not so much Vince Velasquez, but I could see why that just made everybody go, huh? Vineyard Vines, where it's got the whale on the side, on the small part, and then big on the back. You can get that logo as well. Teespring.com/Brodes clothes if you're interested. Thank you, Pags. Now, why won't defenders be able to leave Ben? Because they've been doing it for 4 seasons. So I would love to know why that is the case. You got a hoodie months ago and you got the mug. Yeah, I think you did tell me that before. Which hoodie did you get? Did you get this one or the other one? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, they'll still be able to leave Ben. They would still be able to leave Ben. Trust me, they've done it before. There were times where Ben was disrespected in the dunker spot. They're like, you can leave Ben. Trust me, teams have been doing it. People have been doing it for a long, long time. Oh, you got this hoodie. It's a nice one, too. How comfy is this hoodie? I mean, seriously, it gives me a, you know what? You know what I'm saying? Gives me a little, how do you do? So comfy. Right now, I got a shirt on underneath, but if you go no shirt with this hoodie, it's perfect. It really is. Just call me Flair, my guy. $5 donation. I'm going to the Phillies versus Giants game on Monday. Should I be scared? You should be scared that you might get hit with a bunch of trash that's trying to get thrown at Gabe Kapler. But other than that, you should be all right. Oh, I can only imagine what the Gabe Kapler experience is going to be like. I think the Giants are off to an okay start. Not overwhelming, but an okay start. With the Red Sox, huh? After getting swept early on, the Giants are 8-4. That's nicer than I thought. The Gabe Kapler experience. I was listening to who was it? Trevor Plouffe talk on their Talkin' Baseball show, and I heard him talk about how Gabe Kapler had such a great. It was Cueto was in the game prior to him getting hurt. I saw him just get hurt, and he did such a veteran experience move where he got the crowd into it by going to the mound in a complete game to try and like make it seem like he was gonna take him out and get the fan all erupted to get Johnny Cueto pumped up and to get that adrenaline going. It was all him just to spark the crowd and spark the environment. Now, he eventually pulled Cueto. I'm thinking, wow, imagine thinking of Gabe Kapler that highly. But I'm not going to say someone can't learn. I haven't dissected the Gabe Kapler film since he left here. To act as if you can't become a better manager and learn from your experiences isn't fair. And I could imagine that he probably did that to some degree, you know? Chris Sheehan coming in with the $5 here. Plot twist. Ben Simmons trolls us now and comes playoff time. He bullies and averages 28 and 8. And oh, by the way, Embiid better win MVP. Let's go. Yeah, the thing is, everyone's like, oh, well, he's only doing this because it's the regular season. He'll play better. I think Ben will probably have a good first round. So that'll shut up all the people like me. And then all the supporters to the extreme will be like, see, I told you so. And then after that first round matchup comes and you start to see better opponents, things will change. So I do think you'll see like a first good round out of Ben, and then things will become a little bit more disappointing, if you will, after that. All right, let me so the YouTube video is processing now. I am getting the audio version for the podcast apps, which by the way, the podcasting apps lately have been on fire. If you have not yet, I would greatly appreciate it if On Apple Podcast, you search Sports Talk with Brodes and you leave a 5-star rating. That would be greatly appreciated if you have not already. So on Apple Podcast, search in Sports Talk with Brodes and it'll come up under Brodes Media. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and a review, that would mean the world to me. The podcasting apps have been on fire lately. All right, let me make sure I get this going here. Sorry, I normally don't double dip. The two things at once, but because of me, it was just super late last night. I had some things to do with Inside the Birds, and I kind of got a little busy late last night. I transitioned into recording the Philly show. I feel like I mentioned that like 20 times, but in case anyone new comes in and is questioning why I'm this way right now and a little all over the map and moving pieces around. Nick says, "Yo, Brodes, I was one of those people that sent you anytime hotline call last night after the Sixers win. I'm the dude who talked about Embiid's efficiency at the Wells Fargo Center, getting hype. Yeah, that was the hype. Just seeing the crowd, seeing Joel sit there and go like this and just soak it in. It was as if he was closing his eyes, soaking it in, and just experiencing the greatness of having fans back. He should win the MVP, man. I'm not being biased here. All right, he left, but he left due to injury, I'm saying, and he's still killing it. I mean, I think that there's his style of play and the way that he's playing it. I think there's like it's just no way. Like, who can win it over him? There's no way. I think Jokic. I mean, Jokic because of how many games played. I've heard that argument before with Stephen A. Smith, and that is fair. That is fair. But I don't know. I think Embiid's play has just been a little. I'm a big Jokic guy, and there's a lot of people that easily say Embiid over Jokic in general, and I say you're not giving enough credit to him. You're not giving him enough credit, Embiid or Jokic. Excuse me. Sorry, I got distracted here by the entertainer coming in here. Yo, what's going on, man? What's happening? How are you? I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't think they give him enough credit, Jokic. I think he's a phenomenal player, but there's no doubt that Embiid has just been a notch above him this year. For real. Just been a notch above him. Um yeah, I'm amazed with what I see out of the big man. I really am. I get so insanely in love with watching this big man on consistent nights over and over and over again. Steph would be in the same conversation if the Warriors had a better record. Yeah, of course. Of course. For sure. Yeah, they're struggling though. And I mean, I wonder what Klay Thompson's going to be when he comes back. Whoa, the Joe Show says Doris Burke is boring as hell. I disagree, man. Doris is one of the best in the game. Doris Burke is one of the best in the game. I think that's a tough take, man. I really enjoy listening to Doris Burke. Now, I hate ESPN feeds. Don't get me wrong, because I think it's more of a comfort thing than anything else. It has nothing to do with how bad I think they are, if they're good or if they're not. I think it's more about the fact that I love Mark Zumov. I love Allah. I like the NBC Sports crowd. I like listening to the home talent, and Zoo Zoo's the best. I mean, Zoo's one of the best in the business. But there's no way you can be anti-Doris. I mean, she's a queen in this business, man. She's a queen. She set the tone. She puts her head down and grinds, man. Oh, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for leaving a review. Do you think, well, there's like Ben Simmons is the style of player where Ben is the style player where you don't get Ben on anything but a max. So to think that like Ben's not worth it if we signed him for a different deal, everything surrounding Ben Simmons is you are going to get Ben Simmons at this contract. There's really no other alternative. He is there's players that just get that deal. There's a lot of players that get max money, get that big explosive contract, but they're not necessarily a LeBron. Okay, if you want to play that game, there's maybe 4 or 5 guys in this league that deserve that level of contract. No matter where Ben is getting that contract. So there isn't anything like, oh, he's not worth this. You should have paid him this. Like everything surrounding Ben, first overall pick, the hype. There's a reason why he's in the conversation for a James Harden. There's a reason why he's in the conversation for some of these other players. Bradley Beal. That's the style of return. That's what those type of players get. So he's got flaws, he's got issues, and I'll pull back up the picture. That is very concerning. This is a problem. This is a problem. With that being said, this is the style of pay that is that happens to players like Ben Simmons. Crazy. Like, stare at this for a second, please. Recognize this a little bit longer. I want you to stare for 10 seconds at what's going on here. All right. Now, we'll take it off the screen because it's hurting me. It's hurting my soul. It's hurting my soul. Well, that's a good question. What do I think has the better play here? What do you think can happen? I think it will be probably defensive player of the year, maybe. I think maybe defensive player of the year. I think they're really going to take a toll. They're really going to put Joel Embiid into a spot where they're going to back him into a corner, considering he did not play due to the injury. I think that's really going to hurt Joel Embiid's chances. Even though I don't think it should, I think it will. I don't think it should. I think it will. I got people tweeting at me, Brodes or Mike Gill of 97.3 just tweeted at me a French vanilla Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Amazing. I love it. People are tweeting me coffee during coffee with Brodes. I'll send him a selfie. We're going to go pure selfie mode during coffee with Brodes. Hold on. Got to respond to the people. Can I take I could have sworn you could. You can't use that button to. Is it up here? That's what it is. There's my problem. Perfect. There it is. Amazing. What a day we're having. What a show we're having today. When's the Phillies next stream? We are not going to be doing leading off with Brodes today, by the way. We are not going to be doing that. Dunkin' Donuts coffee is not even real coffee. I don't mind the coffee grounds. Like, if you buy the coffee grounds, that's different. I'm not a big Dunkin' guy. I do go there once in a while, but I'm not I'm not like, I don't go there normally to get the hot coffee and all. Once in a blue moon, I'll go there for iced coffee. But yeah, I agree with you. It's watered down. It doesn't give you that kick. But I don't mind if you're buying the coffee grounds itself. It's more so going there. Yeah, now things are changing. I think they're going to play this game. There was a time where I thought that there was no way in hell that they were going to play. Now I think we're at the point where they're playing. Now I think they're at the point where they are playing the game. Phillies strike out 14 times in 5-1 loss to Mets. Exclamation points. Why does strikeout as 2 words look funny? 1 word, or you ever do that when you just stare at something like, this doesn't sound right? This doesn't sound right at all. The entertainer, what's happening, dude? I know I already said that to you before, so I don't know why I just did that again. But Mets Phillies going to get rained out today, I think, unfortunately. So I thought so, and then now I'm seeing that might not be the case. Now I'm seeing that it might be now I'm seeing that there's a better chance, let's say. There's a better chance. It says now like 18 or 19%. Before it didn't, it was more like 90. So I think they're going to get this game in. Let's make sure we put explicit in there because there is some, there might be some, you know what I mean? There might be a little, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? There might be a little, you know what I mean? Actually, I don't even know if I curse that much. You need to upgrade. I drink everything, man. I got Wawa, I got Timmy Hortons, I got Dunkin', I got Pete's, I got this, I got that, I got Mary Lou's. I like everything, dude. I get like I love it all. I try it all. I give it all. I like variety. I do a little bit of everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It does the job. MLB The Show videos. I don't know about strictly YouTube videos. If anything, I'll start a second gaming channel, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing that. I have it written down, the idea of doing something like that. That is for sure where that's in play. Definitely Twitch live streams. So as you all know, MLB The Show comes out tonight at midnight. I have it already pre-downloaded. So I do think we're going to do a midnight game session. That's for sure. A little midnight game session. I do not have a next a next gen console. No, interesting. Gaming with Brodes. I do think that that's a possibility here for sure. Gaming with Brodes is a real possibility. Who's out of the rotation when George Hill plays? It's a great question. You have your starting five. You have George Hill. You have Dwight Howard. Then you got to find room for Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz. You tell me. You tell me. What happens then? What is the situation then? That is your dilemma. I think it just depends on each night. I think some nights you'll get Shake, some nights, you're going to have Matisse Thybulle, right? At that point, that's 8. I do think Doc Rivers is going to be fascinated with Furkan. He'll try Furkan. Furkan will probably fail at some point, and then there goes the history of Furkan. But I do think that they'll give him an opportunity, and they will give him a shot at some point. I play Xbox, by the way, for the people asking, what do I play? I play Xbox. I am an Xboxman. Right here to my left, bang, my Xbox, my setup. I don't think Anthony Tolliver is much of anything, quite honestly. I don't think it's much of anything. As of now, we are cloudy in New York, and we should be good. I think you're going to start. We're gonna keep up with the weather updates here. Glenn Schwartz, they call me. Although kids these days probably don't even know who Glenn Schwartz is. He's the guy with the bow tie. We are at 18% at noon, 19% at 1, 19% at 2, 50% at 3, 80% at 4. So if the game starts at noon and they try and grind this bad boy out with a little bit of drizzle, I would not be surprised. Oh, we do know. Okay, we know who Glenn is. I'm surprised, although maybe that's a little bit of the older crowd. There's no way kids these days know who Glenn Schwartz is, right? That's his name, right? I'm searching Glenn Schwartz. He's not popping up. I'm like, okay, it is Glenn. Jeez, it's not even popping up for me. I'm like, did I say his name wrong? Look at this beauty. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Come on now. Here he is. Look at this. I'm 15 and I know him. Bang! Look at Glenn. I'll give you the weather update. Here we go. 12 o'clock, 18% precipitation. 1 o'clock, 19% precipitation. We got Glenn in action. Look at that bow tie. It's a crisp bow tie. Look at this. Just devastating to look at. Do we have to do this? This is just disappointing. Look at this. Just devastating. So is this. Can you believe it? This is a real NBA player in year 4. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, too. Ugh. Oh. Why? No. What if this man has 5 touchdown catches this year? Sign the lady next to him. That's hilarious. Why not put some beef on Arcega-Whiteside? You know what? Because of how great he is blocking downfield, that is something that we talk about. Even though I don't know why I put air quotes there. I mean, there are times where he's like, that is, I guess, his only skill set at this point. I did hear some jokes and some hypotheticals about him becoming a tight end, but there's a big difference between blocking a receiver downfield and then being in the trend. Not that I'm saying you're actually saying this, Fran. I'm saying in general. I did hear this conversation. Why don't you move J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to this role? Like, you can't block in the trenches at that body frame the same way that you think you can block wide receivers downfield, right? You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Brodes, what would you do if JJ became a Pro Bowler this year? I would probably go streaking. No? Who's with me? We should just get a team of streakers down Broad Street. Adrian, let's not get carried away, all right? 1,200 yards, maybe 1,000. 1,200 yards, you're pushing the limit here, dude. Can't go overboard. Let's not go overboard. 1,200? Come on. Howie had after you've I do think that this is a little too strong. Like, I understand the fear. I'm not saying, but after reading the analytical situation with Jeffrey Lurie, like Howie's almost like that. I feel like that puts it in perspective on where Howie really is. There's a communication problem structurally within the Eagles organization. That's clear as hell. But after listening to that, or reading, I should say, not listening to that athletic piece, Jeffrey Lurie is a way bigger problem than Howie Roseman is. The reason why Howie Roseman is drafting these players is because of the philosophy of the owner, Jeffrey Lurie. And the reason why Howie Roseman makes these decisions is because he answers to Jeffrey Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie making these decisions based off of analytics. The fact that the scouting department has the scouting draft board, the analytic department has the analytic draft board, and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, specifically Jeffrey Lurie, saying we're going by these analytical numbers. We have them here for a reason. I almost look at this more as the organization problem more so than I do a Howie Roseman problem. I think it's a Lurie problem more, you know? Like, I think this all almost gives it doesn't take Howie Roseman off the hot seat at all. It doesn't take him out in terms of, he doesn't deserve blame. He deserves blame. He's part of the problem. There's a problem with the management side of things, and the general manager matters. So there is a problem with the communication, the one-on-one meetings, this and that. That all plays a role. I'm not a Howie stan at all. I would be happy with the guy to be fired. I'm just using something called brain cells and I'm referencing this. I don't care about Howie Roseman at all. I'm just not a moron. And I apply what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've read and what these deeper stories are telling you. There's a Jeffrey Lurie issue. He's the owner. The analytical problem set by the owner is where we're here, where there's analytic department, and you can have an analytic department. I'm not anti-analytics, but you got to create a relationship and a bond in the organization where everyone's on the same page. Jeffrey Lurie has created one that isn't that way. Howie's a part of that. But when it gets to this level of ugliness, it goes to the top dog. I don't care about Howie Roseman. I would be fine with him being fired for sure. I mean, I think you can have a whole refresh, reset emotionally in that building, 1,000%. I don't give two damns about Howie Roseman. It's just not as bad as what people say it is in terms of him. It's just called being emotional. And this city tends to do that sometimes and go overboard. Thank you so much to Joe Show for the $2 donation. Where should the Eagles go in this direction? I'm leaning towards a Horn if they can go out and get a Horn, a Devontae Smith. I'm still leaning in that category more than anything else. I don't know where. There's so many damn mock drafts at this point. You know what I mean? It's like, where do they fall? At 12, the problem is now that you're at 12, so much matters on what falls in front of you. So there's so much in play with what's going to happen with all these other picks that then kind of affect where you're going to select and, what's going to be available. I'm still kind of going to the idea of it's just so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard because there's so much that can happen prior that affects what, like if Surtain falls to you, if one of these guys fall to you now, well then it's kind of a moot point, if you will. Thank you so much, Joe. Brodes always defends Howie. No, I don't. I mean, I'm literally sitting here saying the guy can be fired and has enough. You can you have enough to support firing Howie Roseman. No one's defending that. People claim he's the worst general manager in football. He's not. There are polls with all these executives in the game. So, not you, not the fans, not the players, the people who do the jobs, the people who are involved in football. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Did I read that wrong? I thought you were talking about the draft. Um, I apologize. Um, Sorry, let me get back on this in terms of I'm all over the place here. Now I'm losing my track, my thoughts. If you are polling, and there's polls all around, if you poll the people who are in the same position as Howie Roseman, they put him in the top 10 every single year. Every year, the people who do the job have Howie Roseman at the top of the list. I mean, he's not the bottom. He's not the last. He's not the last. So he's not the worst ever. You know? He's just not the worst ever. Um, how he makes the final decisions, well, you just don't know how sports works. I mean, there's an owner for a reason. You might think he makes the final decisions. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have a lot to say. To think that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't have a lot to say is a very irrational way to look at it. Now, where is looking at KJ Harris? Probably not for KJ Harris. I'm not very big on that one, to be honest with you. In terms of Hooker, I'm not definitely not in on that. Malik Hooker, I'd be a little bit more interested in, but when you look at what they made, the moves they made at safety, is that something that they're still going to look at? Maybe. We're going with Ryan Braun on a 1-year deal. Hey, anything to help out the bats. $4 donation coming in from Logan Wright. My hometown Little League team is better than Roman Quinn. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Roman Quinn is a disaster. Roman Quinn is a flat out disaster. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He is a mess. If I ever see him, and I don't understand, like at this point, you're going to see Mickey Moniak and Roman Quinn. No wonder why this team is losing baseball games. It's not that hard to see. Yeah, the Joe Show. I apologize. I just had a brain fart when he brought up those names. I don't know why I was thinking draft. I was just in draft mode because someone else was talking about the draft in the chat. So then when your question popped up, I was just thinking draft. I'm like, oh yeah, at 12 they should pick pick Devontae Smith. So I apologize. Just a brain fart. We all have it. There was something else. Oh, yeah, DH here. He's a bottom 5 GM in football when it comes to drafting. Yes, but there's other elements in football that matter other than drafting. And to act as if the owner impacting the draft isn't in play here, it's just not using all the information to your brain. And it's not forming your, like, to act as if what we are reading to this point, the owner, the analyst, all this isn't a role into who is selected is just not justifiable. So even if he's not a great drafter, which fine, he might not be a great drafter, to act as if that makes him the worst general manager in football, there's so many other parts of being a GM that matter. I'm not saying Howie Roseman's the best. I'm saying he's not as bad as what you say. That's all. There's a difference. He's not as bad as what you say. He's not the best GM ever. He's just a GM. The people in the league value him as top 10. I'm telling you that. I mean, that is just a factual information that guys around the league look at Howie Roseman as top 10. Guys who do the same job. Take that information for what it is. I'll look at them over your opinion. Doesn't mean everybody else has to. I'll take more out of what they think, more so than what you think. That's just how I do it. I don't think that Howie Roseman is the best GM in the world. Obviously. I don't think he's what you think he is, which is the worst general manager ever on the history of the planet. All right? All right. Yeah, Mickey Moniak gets thrown in there against DeGrom. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Herrera is better than Roman Quinn. That is correct. I think you pretty much know where you are, though, as a all right, DH. I get it. You can't actually have a logical conversation. Hey, Gil, what's up? Hi. I know. We got morons in here, Gil. We got more. I try. We got morons in here that are just saying it's all his fault. And now with the analytical piece, with Jeffrey Lurie, it just puts it in more perspective of what's going on here. You know what I mean? It's like, and then Howie's to blame. Howie is to blame because there's the one-on-one meeting side of things, the actual the way that this organization is ran relationship-wise is a problem. And I think Lurie and Roseman have an issue with this debacle of if you're going to go analytics, you can't act as if what the scouts do are not important. You got to have everyone as a team. And Howie Roseman is a part of this divide. So you got to make sure as a manager, general manager, you can't have that divide. You can't have the one-on-one meetings and hide what you say to this guy, to that guy. Like, you need to do a better job of that. The relationship side of things has to be fixed internally, and Howie's a part of that. To act as if he's not is unfair. He's a part of that. But, I mean, the DH, this guy DH, you every day says that he's like the worst ever. Is like, he's not the worst ever. He's not the best, and it is justifiable to fire Howie. It's not like you can make the argument and back up and support firing Howie Roseman. And I'm okay with firing Howie Roseman. I'm not tied to Howie Roseman. You can find other GM, you could find another GM. To act as if there's no other GMs available ever is unfair. At one point, Howie wasn't a GM. You groomed him into a GM. He had success. He had failures. You can find another GM. To act as if they don't grow on trees is not fair either. There are out there. It's about finding them. There are good GMs out there. It's about finding them. No, I disagree. He's not the big. I don't think you do your research. Jeffrey Lurie is a bigger problem than Howie Roseman is. That's evident. I mean, are you reading what's going on? And these aren't the leaks from Howie Roseman. These are the anti-leaks. There's difference between reading the information that's leaked from Adam Schefter and all these guys at ESPN. That's different. This Zach Berman, Sheil Kapadia, and this story that's coming out from Bo Wolf, that is not excuses. That is not, these are dissecting the journalism. This is different. Jeffrey Lurie's the bigger problem than Howie Roseman. That doesn't mean that there's not problems with Howie Roseman, but it could be in between. No, Gil was in the chat hanging out with us. Here we go. Gil's hanging out with us. Every team in sport has a divide between analytics and scouts. I did hear you. I was listening to you when you went off about that. Yes and no. I do think that it's taken to a little bit of an extreme here, though, where I do think. Well, I agree with you. I do think that there's a lot of teams, like the guys who play, the baseball guys and the football guys, throughout all organizations, there is a bit of a divide. But I do think that this divide has taken it to an extreme because I sense that there's a level of, all right, we went overboard here, the one-on-one meetings, not being on the same page. I think that there are organizations that there's a divide where the football guys don't agree with the analytic guys, but they have at least all have been in a conversation where they know the plan. There's no conversations where they know the plan anymore, where the analytic guys are told one thing, the scouts are told one thing, and the scouts think they're going to be going in one direction, and then now they're blindsided. I think in other organizations, the scouts might not be blindsided. They just disagree with what they're doing. Hey, we are going to go with the analytics that tell us this year, but we're also understanding of what you told us. Instead, we're just going to blindside you, tell you one thing, and go in a totally different direction. That's where I think maybe there's a bit of a disconnect there for sure. So I do think it's taken to this other level. Eagles were deemed dysfunctional after Chip 2 years. Oh yeah, I definitely am more on your side. And I saw Kevin Kincaid as well. I saw what he was putting out there of Crossing Broad. I've leaned towards more your side. I think that this year might be a little wonky, but I think next year, you got 20 draft picks in 2 seasons. Not that you're going to pick all those picks. You're probably going to trade up and all. But with that and the cap space that opens up, I think this year might be like a 5-6 win type of team, but you're not ripping your hair out in frustration. Like last year was a disaster, frustrating, pissed off season. This year might be not so much great production-wise win total. I think 5-6 wins, but you're setting yourself up for the next season of feeling better about yourself with the draft picks, with the cap space. So I look at next year as I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I don't think it's going to be like last year was unwatchable, miserable football. I don't think this year will be that, but I don't think your win total is going to be anything more than 5 or 6 wins. And then next year, you're set up good to go again. So I think more that than anything else. It is weird, though, to think that you now have that extra game. So it's like 6-11, 5-11. But I'm with you, Gil. I'm more on your side than the jabronis out there that think it's just full throttle, nightmare forever, and that kind of lifestyle. I lean towards you. I just think people take it to such an extreme. Like there is a middle ground. That's why I get so annoyed. Like there's a middle ground at some point. You know? Like, yes, Howie Roseman hasn't been good. Howie Roseman isn't the worst ever. But it's just like when you're that bad, it's crazy. It's crazy. Thanks, Gil, for coming in today. Hopping in, hanging out. I appreciate that. How about the Phillies, Gil? Devastating. Just devastating. Largely because of Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman. Sure, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They're in a bad spot right now, but they've dug themselves out of a horrible roster before. You've seen that. You've said that they've had horrible, just like Gil put up there on the screen before. Yeah, teams go through rebuilds. It's time for a rebuild. They committed to another championship run. It backfired, and now it's a little tough. Now it's a little tough, and I can see themselves getting out of it, though. The problem is you act like they can't get themselves out of it, and you act like this is uncommon. When you win a Super Bowl, then you go through a rebuild. I mean, besides the Patriots, tell me another team that hasn't done that. The Denver Broncos, they went with Peyton, and they haven't been able to find a quarterback. They haven't been able to get back. It was an organizational failure. There's no denying that, but, Dallas Goedert is a young, nice player. You can't rule out Jalen Reagor under a new system. He didn't work last year, but when you had the quarterback play that you had and Doug Peterson and everything else, that's hard to kind of, to not pretend mattered with Jalen Reagor. I think in a different scheme, he could be a different player. You have 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. That's where you got to get your good young players. And yeah, they got to hit on them. The option one or step one is get your positioning going. You're in position now to get those young players. Step two, execute. You could say that they're not going to execute. I'll wait to see if they execute. They might not. But you got to find out if they will or not. They've picked Sanders. They've picked Goddard. They've picked other guys. We'll see if it works out or not. Their track record as of late hasn't been strong, but that's because of Jeffrey Lurie, analytics, telling you this and that, compared to going off of the scouting department, which they pay a lot of money for. And that's a Jeffrey Lurie problem that we'll find out if it ends up changing. There's a lot in play here. There's a lot of dissection that happens. Logan with the $5 donation. A lot of COVID cases coming out of Lehigh Valley Phantoms. You think this is somehow affecting the Flyers some way? No. The Flyers stink. I don't think the Flyers are even thinking about anything Phantoms related at all. So, no, I don't. Unless you mean like guys getting caught up to play some NHL action maybe. But for that, I don't think it really matters to me anymore. Well, Howie might not hit on them. Thank you so much for the $5. Yeah, I don't think it really does much of a difference there. Howie might not hit on them because of the way that Jeffrey Lurie is running the draft. That's the problem. That's where we're having a disconnect here. You're thinking Howie's just saying, I'm picking this guy. When in reality, we know now that Jeffrey Lurie has this system in place where the analytics is making the decisions. So Howie's the one just making the decisions based off of what the owner wants to do. And that's where the problem is. So you're seeing it as, well, he's in the GM chair, he's making the pick, when we have now more information on how they are ran with the draft, and it's becoming an issue. Now, Howie plays a role. But the bigger role is the owner. The bigger role is the owner stepping into this level. No, that's not what I said. So now you're not listening. That's the difference. Listening, utilizing your ears when listening. Howie is a part of this problem. Jeffrey Lurie is a bigger part of this problem. Jeffrey Lurie's the owner. What he says goes. What he wants to do goes. You are the owner of an NFL franchise. Jerry Jones makes the decisions. What Jerry Jones wants, he gets, no matter what the GM does. So Howie Roseman is bouncing off of what Jeffrey Lurie does. If Jeffrey Lurie changes the philosophy, Howie Roseman then changes the philosophy. If the philosophy is set by the owner, the GM follows the footsteps. If he doesn't follow the footsteps, he doesn't have a job anymore and he's fired. So that's why he does it. Your response can't be, well, then just don't do it. Well, I do agree that there can be a little bit more of a conversation pushback if there's enough respect between the two, which there does seem to be. But at the same time, it's all set based off of what the owner wants to do. I'm okay with firing Howie Roseman. I'm okay with him. You can make the argument based off of recent track record that Howie Roseman hasn't done a good job. My point is, though, I don't think he's doing a good job, more so because of how this owner has impacted this franchise. I would like to see Howie without that strong impact of the owner again to see what's really there or not. I would have more optimism in that scenario than what we're having now. Howie Roseman, I wouldn't be surprised if Howie Roseman falls on his face. I just wouldn't be surprised if he didn't either. But it all comes down to how the owner impacts the decisions. It's really not that hard to comprehend. That's all. But anyway, as it's close to 10 o'clock here, get into a passionate little how do you do. Yeah, there are some that don't understand how sports works, unfortunately. That tweet I put out of that selfie of coffee with Brodes. It's amazing. Just amazing. But yeah, so there's that. And we're going to end this show here. No leading off with Brodes today. Hopefully the Phillies do play at noon. We'll find out. We'll see. What time? See, here's the thing with Twitch. I kind of want to do 2 streams. I had so much fun yesterday. There's no doubt that at midnight, I will be streaming on Twitch for MLB The Show. No doubt. No brainer, midnight. It might even start earlier. I might start earlier and then bleed into the 12 o'clock stream. So there'll definitely be what I'll do is there might be an afternoon stream too. My point is this. Now, I don't think he's trolling. I think he really does mean that. There's a difference between trolls and people who just hate Howie Roseman. I think he's a straight up Howie Roseman despiser. So you can tell the difference. Follow me on Twitter at Brodes81. I will be tweeting when I'm live on Twitch. There might be an afternoon stream, and there will definitely be a late night stream. So there might be both. Be active on Twitter at Brodes81. My Twitch, twitch.tv/sports talk with Brodes. Be there. Twitch.tv/sports talk with Brodes. Go toss it a follow. Get the notifications going and be aware. I am going to do a late night stream. One night late. I will, but I kind of want to do both. It's a little bit of me that's just fiending for some vid games. Yesterday kind of sparked that love again for it. So we'll see. Just be aware on social media at Brodes81. Follow me there and you'll find out. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys later.